It looks like you're about ready to go to sleep. But to be honest, I'm not really tired yet. So I thought I would stay up a little bit longer and play this new mod pack I found called TerraFirmaGreg. You might have heard of it before, and now you're cringing at the thought of starting something like this so late at night. And I know I'm probably in for a lot of trouble with this mod pack, because apparently it's not the easiest pack. It's a hybrid between a mod pack called TerraFirmaCraft and another one called GregTech that sort of combines hardcore survival with hardcore industry. And believe it or not, I really have no experience with any of this whatsoever. So I'll probably be dying a lot and, maybe referencing the wiki, but I'm going to try not to do that. But you know what? I think that's just the right kind of challenge I need to finally fall asleep. But anyways, if any of that sounds relaxing to you, then, feel free to watch until you fall asleep. I don't really know where to start, to be honest. I put the difficulty on hard, and I guess I'm gonna lock it there just to hold myself accountable. I also selected a temperate spawn because apparently that makes things a little bit easier to start. So even though I want the full challenge, I think I'm gonna go with a nice relaxing valley. And this is really beautiful. I actually just got this seed first try. So I'm not sure if the rest of the world is this gorgeous, but definitely pretty pleased with this. And just out of curiosity, it looks like I'm spawning in a random location at 5,500 and 2,500. So I should probably stay somewhere close to here, because I'm sure that I'll be dying quite a bit. Now, out of curiosity, I want to see what kind of different things we can find just by walking around. I'm already noticing these small stones, which kind of reminds me of Daisy. It looks like there's a good variety of different rocks on the ground. Now, if you've got your eyes closed already, I'll try my best to sort of describe the things that I'm looking at so you can, visualize them. So it looks like we have mossy, loose conglomerate rock and a small cassiterite and another loose conglomerate rock. So there's definitely a lot of item variety. It sounds like one of the first things I'll probably want to get is some kind of backpack. So let's search that up. Doesn't look like this is actually a search bar, but I can see a few different storage options here, like a belt pouch. And yeah, I'm just looking at this already. It seems like I have a long way to go before I can really make anything at all. This tool belt is combined with a belt pouch to make possibly a better tool belt. I'm guessing this goes... Oh, okay. So there's quite a few different tabs here. I'm just gonna really dive in and take a look at everything and take my time. Hopefully you're not expecting any massive progress, because my guess is in just the couple of hours it takes for you to fall asleep, or hopefully less than a couple of hours, I will still be scraping the surface of this mod pack. So I see there's a climate tab here, and of course it's the temperate climate that I selected. There's an annual rainfall statistic of 348 millimeters, the average temperature, which is 12 Celsius, and the current temperature, which is also 12 Celsius. And I also have some kind of starter book, so my guess is I should start here. Now I'm really curious if I can access that when this book is not in my inventory. Looks like I can, which is nice. I'm also noticing that unlike traditional Minecraft, when you drop an item, it just kind of plops on the ground and lays nice and flatly. I think that's really nice. Okay, let's take a look at this book. So, you can't shuffle the pages like normal, but there are chapters, essentially. Oh, well, there's categories, and then within each category is a series of chapters. So that goes to show just the amount of depth in this mod pack. I guess let's start from the top. It says TerraFirmaCraft 3.2.23. Welcome, traveler. This book will be the source of all you need to know as you explore the world of TerraFirmaCraft. And TerraFirmaGreg. Oh. This book is accessible at any time via the icon on the right side of your inventory. You can find an online copy of the guide here. Click on the entry index and start typing to search. I see. Okay. So this is just the TerraFirmaCraft guide, but it's not the Greg Tech guide. It seems like this is potentially this other book. Well, I thought it was maybe the Greg Tech guide, but this seems to be more so related to servers. Let's see here. Ah. Okay. Oh my goodness. So the book actually does have several different guides from what I can tell. And just by looking through this left panel here, I see there's many, many different categories, starting in the primitive age, which is like a little drop down, the Welcome to TerraFirmaGreg landing page. And this is really just basic information. But then it looks like the first real category to start on is the Stone Age. And I've already successfully done the first task, which is to find some rocks. It says, as you begin your journey, the first thing you'll notice is a completely changed world. You can no longer break trees with your fists. Okay, I didn't try that yet. But fret not, for any caveman is not a real caveman without his stone tools. Instead of crafting a wooden pickaxe, you can just pick up rocks from the ground. Begin by collecting at least 4 rocks. You can collect rocks by breaking or right-clicking them with an empty hand. I see. And then it has this interesting UI that I've never seen before, called rock napping. Actually, I've seen something similar to this in videos online. My guess is that you can form shapes with this. I'll click here to learn more. In TerraFirmaCraft, the first thing you can obtain are sticks, twigs, and loose rocks. They can be found in almost every climate, lying scattered on the ground. A smattering of common sticks and stones is displayed in the example. In addition to gathering sticks and twigs on the ground, sticks can also be obtained by breaking leaves with your fist. Once you have a number of rocks and sticks, you are ready to start napping. Napping with a K, and for your case, with an N. Napping is a process where two rocks are hit together to form a particular shape. In order to nap, first hold at least two rocks in your hand, then right-click in the air, which will open the napping interface. In order to nap a particular item, you want to remove squares until you form the desired pattern. For example, create a knife blade by matching the recipe shown to the right. Like crafting recipes, the location of the desired pattern doesn't matter for the output, and some recipes have multiple variants that are valid. And then, oh, I seem to have lost my page. Let's try that out. I'm going to right-click these two stones in the air while looking at the most beautiful sunset. Okay, so my guess is the first thing we want to do is create a knife. Yep, a stone knife head. And that's relatively self-explanatory with the shape, but I'm sure it'll get more confusing over time. It's a very light and very small stone knife head. Now, as it gets dark, my guess is we're going to experience a lot of trouble. But don't worry, if there's any loud sounds, any explosions by creepers or whatever sorts of monsters wander around at night in this mod pack, I'll be sure to reduce that volume so that it doesn't wake you up. I suppose I'm going to keep reading so that I can learn more about the next steps. But I'm wondering if I should maybe make an effort to find somewhere safe to stand. Looking at the mini-map, I don't actually see any monsters, but I haven't actually confirmed if that mini-map even shows them in the first place. I wonder if there is a zoom key. For the map, you can press Z and it temporarily enlarges it. Okay. I'm not seeing any trouble, so let's see if we can get back to business. So going from the Greg Tech quest book, I've now done 50% of the napping achievement. There's no rewards, which I guess implies eventually there might be some. It doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's get back to napping. So we've seen the stone knife recipe. All stone tool heads can be crafted with a stick or twig to assemble them into a tool. The stone knife can be used to harvest straw by breaking plants. Axes can be used to cut down entire trees, logs, and leaves included. However, saplings and sticks will only be obtained if leaves were broken individually. Interesting. So it shows a twig and a stone knife, or rather a stone knife head will create a stone knife, and that can give us straw. Shovels can be used to dig soil-type blocks. They can also be used to create paths by using them on dirt or grass. Just taking another look around because I have my back to an open field. And like I said, you can rest assured there will be no jump scares in this video. Looking around a little bit more, I'm not seeing anything. So let's resume. Okay. Hoes are useful tools for farming, but they can also be used to cut down leaves and other plant matter. Hammers can be used as crushing weapons, but are more important tools used for forging. And finally, a javelin can be used as a primitive weapon capable of being thrown at targets or used as a piercing weapon. And by hovering over piercing, the tooltip says damage type. There's actually a couple of different tooltips. Forging says primitive anvils. Crushing says damage type. Farming says crops. And that's about it. Okay. So we can close out of this. I guess the next thing we need to locate is some kind of twig. I feel like I'm hearing something creepy, but I can't say for sure. Just kind of roaming down this hill, looking through all of the fauna. What is this? Pottery. View entry. Oh. There seems to be certain... Let's see if I can do that with an open hand. Okay. If you hold your book and point it at certain blocks, I suppose, there's a sneak to view, and you can right-click and it will actually open the relative page. So here we have a wild crop. I wonder if that's what I'm looking for. At first, I still need a twig. There's lots of rocks everywhere, so I might as well grab more. Oh. That was some kind of... It's a painful plant. Let's preview this entry. It says a raspberry bush. Temperature range from 5 to 25 Celsius and rainfall from 24 to 100 millimeters. That's very specific. The raspberry bushes grow from April to July, start flowering in August and September, and bear fruit in October. They can be found in areas with few trees. Here's an example of a raspberry bush. It doesn't really let you know that it damages you, but I guess we found out the hard way. Seeing lots of points of interest on the mini-map, but I'm not spotting any trouble, which is nice. It seems like the traditional Minecraft mobs just don't function in the same way. Maybe they're not even in this mod pack. Looking around more, I'm not seeing any twigs on the ground as I would have expected. So perhaps I need to break some blocks. Seems like there was some kind of rock slide over here. Maybe I shouldn't stand near that. just breaking these leaves seems to consistently drop nothing. Maybe I can break a bush. I'm going to get up on this peak and try to spot something that would be useful. I see a tree in the distance. There's a wild fruit bush. Oh, that dropped a stick. Okay. Let's see if this creates a knife. It does. Usable as a sword. Craft with a repair kit to repair 25% durability. Interesting. And it has a very weak total durability of 47, with 48 crafting uses. I wonder if this works like the rest of the mod packs where you click a U, and it does. So you can click a U, the letter U, over the stone knife and see a variety of different crafting recipes that you can use this with. And I can't imagine many of these are relevant to me now. I'm definitely going to craft a wheat bread sandwich one of these days. Okay. So referencing our book, and it looks like it's already sunrise, which is going to give me a little peace of mind here. Although I notice at the bottom of my screen I am starting to get thirsty, it appears. Just going back to the napping task. It looks like it wants me to also create a stone or flint axe head. I see. So it's almost got like a fish shape. We can already do that now. This is going to test my memory. There it is. Okay. Let me go back to that bush. See if we can get more sticks. There's one. Okay, we got 4 sticks. So now I have a stone axe. I have to say, I like that a lot more than the vanilla Minecraft method of, making one useless wooden tool. That's actually potentially even quicker. Okay. Holding control over the stone knife, it's giving me a tooltip that says hold control, and that opens me back up to the stone knife page in the book. But I'm not seeing any reason to be here. So let's reference our guide again. Okay. So we now have your first tools completed and find some sticks completed. And this is branching out to several different nodes now. We have primitive tools, which says turns out hitting stones together is quite useful. Optional quest. Okay. So this perhaps is all of the different tools that you can craft, and it looks like you can just bypass that. However, less optional is the gather straw node, which makes sense because this is probably our first look into getting some food. When I click on the node, it says most grasses you find in the overworld can be harvested for straw when broken with a knife or hoe. Straw has a number of uses for crafting, but you'll want at least 8 to create a pit kiln. Straw can also be used to create a straw hat for some basic sun protection. Wow. Or thatch, which can be used as a relatively simple building block with no collision. Okay. Let's do that. I think it was the stone knife. Ah, yes. So we're surrounded by what seems to be endless straw. We'll gather 8, and it will mark our quest as complete. Go ahead and get more. I'm sure I'll need it. Okay. There's 28. Now we've unlocked 2 more nodes. It says straw basket, as simple as it gets, and thatch bed, a place to rest. Somewhat. Okay. The straw basket is a simple basket that can be incredibly useful for managing your inventory before better options are available. Simply nap some straw to get your very own straw basket. Okay. Now I don't see the recipe. So napping looks like it's the standard crafting method for TerraFirmaGreg, at least in the beginning. And that looks pretty straightforward. It's going to be hard to remember all of these, though. I think it was like that. There's a 4 slot count with a slot capacity of 32. And there's a item pickup and item voiding, which is marked as disabled. Let's take a look at this basket. Okay. So it just holds a little bit more than 1 slot, basically. It's 4 slots, but with a max capacity of 32. I wonder if that's 32 total or 32 per slot. I guess we'll find out. What else do we have? There's the thatch bed. And it looks like this has a few tasks. So utilizing some thatch and a large raw hide, you can create a thatch bed. It cannot be used to sleep in, but it'll set your spawn point. Interesting. To create a thatch bed, place 2 thatch blocks side by side, then interact with the blocks while holding a large raw hide. Oh, and then looking at the TerraFirmaGreg book, it says a place to sleep. Just kidding. The thatch bed is a primitive bed which can be used to set your spawn, although not to sleep through. Yes, we know this. Okay. Thatch blocks adjacent to each other, then right-clicked. Oh, I kind of started that sentence in the middle of it. But skipping forwards, it says, large hides are dropped by larger animals like bears and cows. So I'm not sure where we can find one of those. Just looking out, there's really nothing here. I wonder if the first priority is maybe to get something to drink. I don't really have any way of viewing what those icons in my hotbar mean, but it does look like that's some kind of thirst. Now, I can't imagine that I can drink from the ocean, but maybe I can find a river. Perhaps that is cleaner water. It looks like this body of water is likely salt water. I wonder if it tells you. Found another item. Okay. There seems to be some kind of issue with the shader here. Actually, it looks like in this pack there's flowing water that's indicated with kind of like bubbles and current lines. And just looking at the shader, yeah, it must not have that. Oh, I probably don't want to get wet. Oh, there's something shooting at me. Or, yeah, there's a drowned. Okay. I'm gonna get away. Oh. So there's also blood. I have a little bit of blood on my screen now from stepping down a few blocks. So that is good to know. I don't actually see it wearing off, or maybe it's slowly fading. Perhaps if I get in the water. Okay. I don't know if there's any kind of temperature that my character can experience from the water, but my guess is that there is. Now, let's see if I can drink this. Well, maybe with an open hand. Oh. Yeah, so you can right-click this water and drink it. And it's interesting that it looks quite bad with the shader, but maybe I can sort that out in another day. But that flowing water seems to indicate a river, which I'm just going to go ahead and assume that what I drink is not going to give me dysentery. And I will assume that that's probably something that you can actually get in this mod pack. The blood has worn off of my screen now, which is nice. I didn't really even notice when that happened, but it's gone now. So let's just walk back, now that we have some water, back towards the center of the valley, because I'm afraid if I die, for whatever reason, I'll have trouble finding my items. Not that there's much to lose. It's funny, even the little stones on the ground seem to have hitboxes, and you sort of bump up when you walk over some of them. Well, not these, but this other one that I found called a tiny pile of, and there's some chemical name symbolized with the CUFES2. So definitely not a chemist, and I couldn't tell you what that means, but I'll hold on to it anyways. You know, like I said, I didn't really look into this pack at all. I don't know anything about any of this really, but when I was doing a quick research before making this video, just to see if this was, you know, a good pack worth trying, I did see a comment that said something along the lines of, you want to stock up on some kind of material, and I don't actually remember what it was, but my guess is there's going to be lots of things like this tiny pile of dust that I'll end up looking for hours if I don't hold on to. My guess is that a chest would be pretty useful. And wow, besides that water bug, these shaders are quite gorgeous, because I'm standing in a valley now and you can see the sun sort of tucking behind a mountain, and the way that it casts a shadow over the entire valley is it's really stunning, actually. It's impressive for, you know, Minecraft. Anyways, I'm back to where we started. And as I expected, I'm about 35 minutes into my adventure with almost nothing to show for it, but I suppose we can start looking back into how to eat. I remember seeing something about straw. Let me just look through this. Okay. So looking into the Greg Tech book, there is another node that I didn't notice before that says hungry. Where's my food? In TerraFirmaGreg, the world is a harsh place. And one of the most important aspects of survival is being able to obtain food. Most food by itself yields little nutritional value, while others can be deadly if not cooked. Your hunger is represented by the green bar next to your health. Begin by obtaining any form of food. I see. And the valid items is every type of food in the pack. But looking at the top, I'm noticing some food items that I've seen before in Minecraft. And then there's a variety of berries. We did walk past some kind of berry bush. I believe it was somewhere in this direction. It was taller than the rest, so looking for something kind of tall. Is it maybe this? It's a raspberry bush. Let's try right-clicking it with an open hand. Nothing. Should probably use my knife. Give me a stick. And a raspberry bush. Let's try an open hand. Nothing yet. Maybe I shouldn't have broken that. I wonder if you can make some kind of food with straw. Doesn't look like it. So I believe the objective now is to just find any type of food, because very soon I'm gonna die of hunger. Let's look over these again. There's eggs, which would be, you would assume would be somewhat easy. There's barley. Okay. Bananas and cherries and apples. Grain and oat and rye. I wonder if the TerraFirmaCraft book maybe has some information. Wild fruits. Many different varieties of wild fruits can be found growing in the world. These can be collected to be eaten or farmed with the right equipment. They can be found on different varieties of bushes or trees. In general, the fruits can be found in 3 types of plants: fruit trees, tall bushes, and small bushes. All fruiting plants have a common life cycle. They will grow, form flowers, sprout fruit, and then lay dormant in a yearly cycle. Fruit plants are seasonal. During their cold season, these plants will appear brown and lifeless. In the spring, they become green and healthy, getting ready to produce fruit and grow larger. The exact times that this happens varies by the fruit. Fruit plants can die as well as fruit plants can die as well of old age and of improper climate conditions. I'm mainly looking for how I can actually extract. Oh my goodness. Okay, tall bushes are fruit blocks that are able to grow in all directions and spread. They do this by either growing directly upwards, up to 3 high, or placing canes on their sides, which can mature into full bush blocks. After a while, the bushes will stop spreading and reach maturity. Harvesting these bushes with a sharp tool has a chance to drop a new bush. Bushes that are fully mature will always drop themselves. And a wild, tall bush is depicted. Any full bush block can grow berries which are harvestable with the right button. I guess that wasn't a full bush block. I'm just going to click around a little bit more. I'm only going to really read something if it seems useful. I see. There's several crops. Food and water. Okay. Wow. All right. I do want to read through all of this. But to be honest, I'm starting to starve. Let's see. There's not really a how to get food. I guess we're just gonna look around. And of course, now it's dark. But I'm sure that it'll brighten up soon. I do see a pumpkin over here, so maybe that is food. Not in traditional Minecraft, but perhaps in this mod pack. I'm guessing with my axe, I can potentially harvest this. Okay, so it says expires, which to me suggests food. Let's try right-clicking it. Okay, and it does show that I have a tool. So in the Wayla mod that indicates the name of the block, it shows the available tools for harvesting and actually shows a green check mark when I hover over the pumpkin with my axe. So it looks like I've acquired a pumpkin. Okay. Can I eat this? Well, right-clicking on the pumpkin opens the napping menu. Maybe I could make a jack-o'-lantern. But let's actually see if the... okay. The node has marked as complete now. So the next node says, what is the title? It says nutrition. What do you mean I can't just eat steak? Each basic food in TerraFirmaGreg contains a nutritional value, and these nutrients are split into 5 different categories: grain, fruits, vegetables, protein, and dairy. While you could eat only one kind of raw nutrient, such as protein, your overall health will be diminished. Makes sense? While keeping a balanced diet allows you to have a much higher max health. Interesting. Each 100 HP corresponds to 1 heart. Look at the field guides section on food and water for full details. And the task is just a check mark to read that. Interesting. Oh, what have I done? I just destroyed my pumpkin. That's not good. Okay. I tried to click on the napping of the pumpkin, but I suppose if you do it wrong, then it just goes away. So it looks like you can craft pumpkin chunks, which is potentially the food, by combining the pumpkin with a knife. So I was pretty close there, but I screwed it up. And I'm not really seeing any other pumpkins. But I guess based off of experience, walking around will probably reveal something else of interest. Now, just kind of reviewing what we've done so far, if I do die wandering around, I don't really suppose that I need to actually, at this point, go and look for any of my items. We've just made a knife and a basket, and it seems like the materials for those resources, the resources for the items themselves are quite abundant in this biome. So I'll just walk around until I see something else, and I guess we can enjoy the beautiful ambience that this mod pack comes with together. Of course, if I see anything worth sharing, I'll be sure to describe it to you. I see some trees in the distance, but oh, there was a bird. Still no pumpkins. I think I see a pumpkin patch, actually, right in this valley. And I haven't really left the, oh, there's some kind of large animal. I don't know if that's a threat or not. It looks like, what is that? Like a bison? I'm not at all an animal type of guy, so I couldn't tell you. Oh, And there's a donkey just snuck right up on me. That's right. Okay, so there's a good amount of pumpkins here. I'm gonna go ahead and pick them all up. Lovely, there was 4. And let me combine that with a knife. And of course I break my knife. I hope that didn't wake you up. Alright, let's try eating this. Wow, that's excellent. So, several, I didn't check how many we got, but I have 12 pumpkin chunks left, and that actually filled me all the way up. Now, we did learn that the nutritional value, right, of variety is going to be more important. But for now, I guess this enables us to move forwards. So I'm going to collect a few more stones because this guy's looking at me. I just feel like I shouldn't get close. As curious as I am, you know, and in regular Minecraft, I would pretty much walk up to anything if I saw it and just kind of check it out. But something tells me there's advanced mechanics with these animals, and maybe they're even territorial, or perhaps they track you. Maybe they stay aggressive even after you die. So I kind of want to not start any wars in my little valley here. So I've got a few more stones now. I will make my knife again. Lovely. And let's move on. So looking at the quest book here, looks like I have some dependencies before I can get into the advanced cooking. Now the thatch bed, hearing something. Oh, there is some kind of animal in the distance. There's almost like a light drumming, and I wonder if that sort of comes and goes when you're in a potential combat situation, or... Yeah, those might have been wolves. Found some more bushes, but I don't really think they are ready to be harvested. Well, I have to admit, so far, this has been a very peaceful experience. I think the worst thing that's happened to me so far is I got pricked by a bush. So, yeah. Oh, there's a cow. Now I have to say, I am very tempted to hit this cow with an axe. So let's try it out. And that was very easy. Oh. Okay, we got the large hide. Just gonna have a drink of water. So that hide was definitely a lot easier to get than I would have expected. And looking around, I'm still relatively oriented. I think over here, I passed through here earlier. I do see so many birds, which is so fascinating to see in Minecraft, and they're done in a really tasteful way. There's just 2 frames, and they kind of jump between the 2 as they flap their wings. They sort of always point at you like a flat sprite. I really like that. I think that, the bees in Minecraft, they're so large and awkward the way they fly. They don't really feel natural. And these birds, although they do kind of have their own quirkiness to them, sort of flying close to you and slowly moving in strange directions, they do look, they fit the theme. I'll say that. They fit the theme. They look very nice. But anyways, I do have my straw to make thatch and my large hide. So I suppose the next thing to do is to find a nice area to make my bed and set a spawn point. I think, although the starting valley is by far the most beautiful location I've seen yet, I'm tempted to wander just a bit further out so we can get closer to some variety, because in that valley there's really just sticks and stones and straw. But just looking over this ridge here, I'm seeing a lot. Oh, okay. And it started to rain. I should get under a tree. As I was saying, I see like a little alcove with some kind of marsh and several different types of trees. Some of them are pointed, and this one that I'm taking shelter under is kind of a rounded type of tree. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at our statistics. So, as far as I can tell, there's not a wetness stat like in games like DayZ, but there is a temperature stat. I don't know if I can actually see that on myself. And, I shouldn't be too hasty to make any assumptions, because perhaps there is... Oh, wow. Okay. So my health screen has it's like a graph, and it shows the different nutrients that you need to achieve to be healthy. And that's expected, but then there's actually a secondary graph called contaminants. And there's parasites, and toxins, which is, I'd say a standard kind of thing you'd expect in a game. But then there's also a microplastics statistic, which you wouldn't expect in TerraFirmaGreg, but it actually makes a lot of sense for Greg Tech because of all of the different machinery that you interact with in this mod pack. And it says microplastic contamination is derived by consuming food packaged in plastic. So that's indicative of something that we might do later. And I suppose a little microplastics never hurt anybody. Anyways, it's quite stormy. Well, I wouldn't say stormy, but the sky is a deep gray. And I have to admit, as beautiful as it is, if I was outside myself in this weather, I'd be very concerned about a pending thunderstorm. There's actually a little structure here as well that I've stumbled upon, and you know what? I'm thinking this is where I lay my bed. Let me just break some of the foliage that's kind of encroached around this structure. It's very much a dilapidated kind of building made out of mud bricks, it seems, and there's not much of a roof, but there is a clay, so looks like I need a shovel for that. The clay is sort of blocking the roof, and I think this is where I want to be, so I should probably start by creating a shovel. I believe we know how to do that. Let me just look at the napping recipes again. Let's see. Okay. So the shovel is almost like a deep V shape. We have the head and the stick, and that was very easy. Now I'm just harvesting this pink clay. I believe this is actually the material that I was reading about, right? I was warned to save a good amount of this. The name actually looks very familiar. So, I cleared away, but I don't want to dig through the floor here because, well, I'm not sure how to get any blocks back to actually build a floor. So let's stick with this for now. And there's my thatch bed. It's, the two blocks just kind of go next to each other, and you click the hide and they sort of turn into half slabs with like a little sheet on them. When you right click on it, it says, "This bed is too uncomfortable to sleep in, but your spawn point was set." Now, at this point, I'm actually getting pretty tired, and I would say that bed looks pretty cozy. I'm willing to bet I would fall right asleep there. But I suppose my character is a bit more picky than I am. So, we have a spawn point. Let's actually explore this structure a bit. I'm noticing there's a stone roof. Oh, that's not good. So looking at... wow, this is quite an involved game. But looking at the roof, the Wayla mod has a warning that says it's unsupported and it might trigger collapse. And that's right above my bed. Now, I won't be sleeping there, so I'm not too worried about it, but I should probably do something about that eventually. Looking around also on the other sort of half dilapidated room here, there's a large vessel, and if I right click it, I thought I heard something. Perhaps not. If I right click the large vessel, there's a sort of like items inside that seem to be disabled, and a button that says unseal. And when I click unseal, they are now accessible. So I wonder why they do that. It's interesting. These look like, oh, it's metal, and it smelts into zinc. So perhaps this is very useful. I'm gonna just stack these into the clusters that they fit into so I can actually use this chest. And I'll put my clay in here. And these bones that I got from the cow. I'm not sure what this is, but I think I got this from the cow as well. Yes, it's... Oh, hearing some more guests. Nothing concerning. Just a bird. And interestingly enough, maybe I should kill this bird. Sorry, mister. It was a quail. That quail was not like the other birds, though. It was full-bodied and physical. And it dropped a feather, or 6 feathers, and 2 pieces of raw quail. There's so many different sounds. I can't tell through the rain if there's creatures outside of my little house, but you know, there's not much cover here, and it's quite uncomfortable. But let's just put everything we found into this box. Also noticing a log pile. And you can sort of just right click on it and remove these pieces of log. Which I suppose leads me to the next entry in the book. It says, gather logs. With your new stone axe, you'll be able to chop down trees. I'm noticing now that opening this book kind of mutes the ambient rain sounds, or they're muffled. Breaking the base of a tree causes the entire tree to fall down, resulting in logs, sticks, and saplings. Gather at least 10 logs. 8 of these will be used for a pit kiln, while the other 2 will be used for a fire pit. So, I suppose for the achievement, I can try cutting down a tree, but luckily our log pile has provided us with 16 logs already. So let's just try to cut this tree down. As expected, it does take quite a while. Hopefully it doesn't fall right on me. Interesting. So the tree, sort of, its entire body just tips over, and it tipped away from me. And just fell into bits. And I'm noticing while I was kind of picking up my items that when I look at this one block, it has a sort of green outline. So maybe that's important. Anyways, it's morning now, but the rain has not ceased. Just going back into my shameful little shed here, I have 14 sequoia logs. So that was more than I'd expected. And now we have a large node. We had many small nodes, and they're all kind of leading to this large node called Pit Kiln. It says things are heating up now. The pit kiln is an early game method of heating items up. We'll use it to both fire our clay items and, most importantly, melt very basic ores and create our first metal tool, a saw. To create a pit kiln, you'll need 8 pieces of straw, 8 logs, something you'll want to heat up, and a fire starter. Read the field guides pit kilns section on how to create it. It's not the same as a fire pit. Okay. And there's a picture. And it's some kind of hole. It's funny because The screenshot here actually depicts a different HUD than the one that I have, but I suppose these screenshots were taken in standard Greg tech. I'm not sure, actually. It looks like you dig a pit and put some kind of items inside, and then maybe you put your wheat on top, or your, whatever it was called, and then your logs. I'm just kind of basing this off of the context of that tiny little toolbar that you can see, and then they light it. But let's take a look at the proper book here. So we know that it's an early method of heating items up, and we know that it can fire clay into ceramic. The pit kiln, over the time period of about 8 hours, will heat its contents up to 1400 degrees Celsius, or yellow white. And yellow white has a tooltip that says yellow white. To build a pit kiln, you will need up to 4 items to be fired: 8 pieces of straw, 8 logs, an item capable of lighting fires like a fire starter, or a torch. Torches can start fires simply by tossing a torch on the pit kiln and waiting a few seconds. And this has the steps here to create a pit kiln. It says place up to 4 items down in a 1x1 hole with V. So I suppose you don't just want to drop them. Oh, it seems like the rain has stopped, so this might be a perfect time to get started. Let me find a beautiful spot here and dig my hole. Okay. So we do have some raw meat, quite a bit actually, but it says up to 4, so we'll place 4 items with the V key. That's quite cute. They just sort of sit in there like an item would when you drop it. But there's 4 of them in one hole. Okay. Let's see if we can resume our place in the book. Yes. Use 8 straw on the pit kiln until items are covered. I have 20 straw. Let's see if it's V or if it's right click. I think it's V. It doesn't seem to be either. It says use 8 straw on the pit kiln. Interesting. This is definitely straw. It's trying to have me do napping, so let's do 2. No, I might need 4. Okay. Maybe I should have looked at the crafting recipes. There's... oh. Straw napping. Okay. So it's nothing like that. And it's not the V key. Placing 8 of them, it's not doing anything. I need exactly 8 in my hand. Oh, that's interesting. You have to click on the ground, so I was maybe hitting the meat. So there's 8, and then 8 logs. That's beautiful. I'm realizing that I don't have a fire starter. Heating items is a way of converting one item to another. Sure. Items can be heated many ways. Okay, so it looks like we can create a fire starter with 2 sticks. I just kind of jumped through the pages and discovered that. And that was very simple. Let's see, how does this work? I'm hitting it a bunch of times with right click because I almost feel as if it's some friction based thing, but I can't imagine that's the case. I eat a little bit of pumpkin because I'm running out of water. And we'll go to the stream later. Interesting, you can't overeat. Okay. Fire is an important technological advancement in order to create fire. Oh. In order to create fire, you will need a fire starter. Simply hold right button down on the ground. After a few moments, smoke and then fire will be created. It may take a couple tries to light successfully. Huh. Oh. That's very interesting. So you hold it on the ground and then you kind of drag it over to the kiln. Oh, it seems the kiln is burning some grass in its surroundings. Ah, it is spreading a bit of fire. Let me just clear this a bit. I don't want to get caught on fire. I'm sure that would be really troublesome. I can't imagine what it takes to heal a burn in this game. Maybe not much. I think I'm gonna leave this as it has 6.5 minutes left. And let's try to find that river again. Seeing a new one actually just over in this direction. Because my water is running dangerously low now and I can't use the pumpkins to saturate that thirst since I'm full. I'm guessing we'll be there in about 3 minutes. I think I see a bear. I'm gonna go ahead and run. I definitely don't want to deal with a bear. There's also a lot of fish here. Oh. Okay, let me see if I'm safe here. This is very interesting. There's a headache skeleton. It's a dead skeleton with a sword in its head. Perhaps I can pick this up. It's so cool looking. I don't want to break it, but... Ah, no sword. That was very, very cool. It's just like a prone skeleton and a sword kind of stuck upright in its skull. I broke it apart and I got some bones. And you know, I'd almost want to leave that there, but I feel like I can just about use all the help I can get right now. So let me just drink some of this water now. Okay. You know, my first impressions on the survival mechanics are good. Let's actually swim here so that we don't disturb the bear. I've seen people play mod packs and it's like they suffer for hundreds of hours to get a tool, and I don't know if maybe they're exaggerating or if there's harder packs than this out there. I'm sure there are. But this is definitely a pleasant experience so far. I'm sure that it gets harder. I'm definitely sure that it gets harder, and perhaps there will be many deaths on the horizon, but despite the fact that I'm on the hard difficulty, I think selecting a temperate climate makes the starting experience just far more pleasant. And I wonder now, as I'm getting close to my fire pit again, if maybe the smell of cooked meat will attract animals. Perhaps that's something I need to be concerned about. Being said, I've had my water. I'm back at the fire with 1 minute and 30 seconds to spare. I think I'll just sit here for a moment and have a drink of water and just enjoy the ambience. Let me get in a nice spot. Oh, it seems as if you can't jump on leaves in a traditional sense. Maybe I should get on these bricks here. I just don't want to stand still on the ground at night. Almost out of water. I can feel myself definitely getting more tired than I was when I started to play. Hopefully by now you're fast asleep. But if you're not, don't worry. There's still some fight left in me. So I noticed that the fire is out now, and I'm scared to jump in there, but let's give it a try. Okay. That's interesting. Not actually seeing any leftovers. Yeah. I fear the fire has burned my items to a crisp. I guess the only thing we can do is try again. Let me review my book to make sure I'm doing everything right. I think I've made a mistake. It seems like the kiln is for, of course, it's at 1400 degrees Celsius. So it makes sense why the stakes are dust. Maybe what we're looking for is a fireplace for food. But I think that the order of the guide is suggesting that we're not there yet. So, we have created the pit kiln. But the interesting thing is now that branching from the pit kiln, we have 3 nodes. There's the ceramic jug, the saw mold, and the vessel. And they are all locked because of uncompleted dependencies, it says. I do see that branching from our starting welcome to TerraFirmaGreg node, there's a thirsty ? Node. And, yeah, let me read over this because first I think I'll get inside my shelter just to maybe break line of sight from any possible bear attacks. And, I do see that I can break blocks, although much slower. Oh, they sort of tumble. I see. There's some kind of gravity-based mechanic. I'm gonna be very careful here and just take some dirt, kind of raise up a few of these walls. It's very, very messy. Okay. That being said, even though there's still a gaping hole in my shelter, I can kind of block off the entrances a bit. Give me a little peace of mind while I read at night. It seems like it's only nighttime. Okay. Thirst is represented by the blue bar above your hunger. I think we made that much out. You can and will die of dehydration if you don't keep your thirst meter filled. The easiest way to have a drink is by drinking from natural ponds in the wild, by right-clicking on them with an empty hand. To complete this quest, you need to drink a potable source of water. Wait. Okay. The wording here is a bit strange. It says, to complete this quest, you need to drink a potable source of water. Can be regular or river water. You may need to drink multiple times so the quest completes properly. You don't have to worry about purifying water here, though salty water will just make you more thirsty. That's interesting. I wonder if it means you don't have to purify water at all, or if you don't for this quest. Because you would think that purity is definitely a consideration in a hardcore survival, but perhaps not. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 readable unlocked nodes branching from this. I think we'll just read through them all. So there's a hydration mechanic node, and this just says click to complete. It says yet another bar to keep full. Water is an important resource, not just for staying hydrated. Setting up a base near a fresh lake or river is recommended, so you have easy access to the stuff. Other items can quench your thirst, such as certain types of food or drinks. Water won't always be available when you go exploring, however, so here are some ways to carry drinking water with you. Drinking consumes 100, I think that's millibuckets, from the container. Click here to read more. And then it says, keeping hydrated. One challenge when farming is keeping your crops hydrated. Interesting. I don't think we're concerned with farming yet. Perhaps this was a mistaken link. Okay. Let's mark this as complete and get no reward. There's also the juicer node, and this kind of leads to a different path, so I think we'll actually skip this one. The rest of these, well, two of them are standalone and they don't lead anywhere, and then one of them is leading back to our kiln quest line. So we'll start with the standalone ones and finish off with the continuation quest. This next one says water bucket, and it's also just a checkmark task. It says not as easy to get as you think. Carrying around a water source is an easy way to never run out, but is a bit cumbersome. Unfortunately, wooden buckets cannot be used to drink water as they do not move source blocks, so trying to place it in the world will only create a very small puddle. Interesting. Okay, that's just a bit of information. The last node is a glass bottles task, and this actually has a completion requirement, which is to obtain any of this type of item, and it depicts a total of 7 glass bottle variants. We have 4 glass bottles made of different types of glass. There's silica glass, hematitic, not sure if I'm saying that right, olivine, and volcanic glass. There's also a beaker, a flask, and a pipette. Glass bottles are just as effective as a leather flask containing 500 millibuckets of water. However, blowing glass bottles won't be possible until later, once you have the ability to shape brass. So I don't think I'll read any more. Lastly, we have the ceramic jug. It's relatively easy water. A ceramic jug is the earliest liquid container you can craft, but it can only hold 100 millibuckets, so you'll need to refill it after every drink. Interesting. The jug is relatively fragile and has a random chance to break when you drink from it. That's unfortunate. And the completion requirement is a water ceramic jug. Clicking on this opens a very, very confusing recipe page. It looks like moving one tab over, though, makes a lot more sense. So we have a unfired jug with the requirement of yellow-white heat leads to a ceramic jug. And that yellow-white, as we know, comes from our kiln, or our buried kiln, whatever it's called. In order to make this, we're going to need to nap some clay balls. And just by looking at this, it's already somewhat different. And this is very interesting in a number of ways, because the first thing that I'm noticing is the napping recipe. It has 2 texture variants instead of the one just cutting a stencil out. I wonder if maybe it requires a different tool. But in a more concerning realization, I'm seeing that even this clay ball in its tooltip has a what is that called? It's chemical abbreviation, which is Na2LiAl2Si2, and then H2O in parentheses on a 6. And I have to say, I don't know much of anything about what that means, but I guess it's indicative of, it seems like these elements are relevant to late game mechanisms, I guess. So, I think what we need to do now is require clay. But it doesn't really tell you much about that. And this doesn't actually have a link to the book. So maybe I need to just look through it myself in the TerraFirmaGreg book. Let's see. It doesn't mention much in the pit kiln. So let's just go all the way back. Okay, pottery. Okay. Clay is an incredibly useful and balanced material which can be used for pottery. It can prove challenging to locate at first. Clay is usually hidden by grass, but it is often found in two locations. In areas with at least 175 millimeters of annual rainfall, clay can be found in patches all over the place, usually marked by the presence of certain plants. Clay with one of the plants that may indicate its presence is depicted in a diagram. It seems like the clay itself is noticeable not by the surface, but within the dirt texture. So the grass will cover the clay and you won't really identify it. But I will say that I've seen a number of these plants in our valley, so maybe that's a good start. And I see that we're doing well on food and water. My shovel is still in a decent condition. I think I will just leave a few items in this container. There's really not much worth keeping yet. Alright. Let's take a look around. I guess the first thing to check is if we are qualifying for the annual rainfall. So the requirement is at least 175 millimeters, and we are at an average of 362 millimeters. I wonder if that's the same in the valley. Because I know for sure that the plants that I'm looking for are there. I see another dead skeleton. This one's name is Ricky Skeleton. I think we'll just leave him be. Okay. So the valley is really not far off at all. And it is just so beautiful. I have to say my real life favorite biome is rolling hills and very, very gentle hills and large plains. I know most people probably prefer mountains, but there's something about just grass for as far as you can see that really brings me peace. It's almost like telling you I can just get right over there. I see some place off in the distance and I can just walk right over there if I want to. I can just go wherever I want. It's not restrictive. There's no challenge. There's no mystery. It's strange because I think in a lot of ways I'm drawn to challenge and I'm drawn to mystery. But when it comes to being at peace, I guess I just don't really think about those things. I'm no longer seeing that flower. But it was the one very early on that actually, that I noticed gave me a tooltip when I looked at it with my book. I remember it vividly. Actually, I think I see it over here. Maybe it's this? The Athrium fern. Oh, and it actually... Yes. So, we opened this up a while ago, and I was going to say I thought I remembered reading something about this. So let's dig underneath. It looks like... Oh, yes. There is clay. I'm hesitant to just dig a large hole because I know there's potential for some kind of landslide. So I'm going to stay kind of on the outside of this hole and dig first and then jump in. Yeah. That's right. So it seems like almost every block in this game has some kind of gravity mechanic. And I have to say that's very fascinating. Okay. Our shovel broke, but I want to make the most out of this trip. So I'm going to make another one. I think I should remember to take my time when I'm doing this napping, because it's quite a pleasant sound. And it's the little things that I think make this a relaxing experience. Let me try to make one more. There we go. Okay, there's 2 shovels now. Just gonna get everything that I see right in this little cluster. Maybe that's actually more than I need. Perhaps this clay spans very, very far, and there might be much more than the 2 shovels can handle. I think I'll just go with this here. Yeah. That about covers this vein. Not forget this little piece. Okay. I'm just gonna walk back now. We'll leave this quail alone. But it would be nice to find another pumpkin. All right. Let's try this one more time. Now that I'm back home, let's take a look at how this clay works. I guess first, I need to remind myself of the recipe. It's a very odd shape. Oh, I see it now. It's like a jug with a handle and a spout. Okay. Oh, I've already done it wrong. It seems this is more forgiving. I guess that makes sense as clay is malleable. And there's the on fire jug. I guess we want to go ahead and make 4 items. Let's look. Oh, we've created our jug and that's unlocked 3 more quest lines from the pit kiln. The ceramic jug, the saw mold, and the vessel. Let's see how to make the saw mold. That's an interesting shape as well. It's like a little heart and 2 squares. There's the saw mold. We also need a vessel. Just go with an unfired vessel. And this is just a simple circle. I suppose, lastly, we can just pick one that we like, because there's no other requirement. I think one day I might mess around with the napping by just clicking around. There's a large vessel, which is it looks like the storage unit we have in the house, which at first I thought, honestly, was just a trash bin. Let's see. There's bowls. There's an oven chimney and a javelin head mold. There's a pot. You know, I think we'll go with pot. I have a feeling we'll end up using that. That's just a little U shape. Okay. I'm gonna place these into the hole using V. Place my 8 straw. And I'll need to get 2 more logs. Put these right inside. Okay. Now our fire starter still has some durability. Let's just get it going there. Oh. Seem to have done it wrong this time. You have a small window where you can drag it over. Oh, I guess you just can't start it on the kiln, but you can quickly drag it over. That's a very strange... Oh, we're having an eclipse. At first I thought that was some kind of glitch, but looks like there's a lunar eclipse because the moon is just a white ring. Very well. I wonder what I should do now. Let's take a look at the quest book. Let's Seems we've completed a number of things. The vessel task is completed. And it looks like I didn't read through this. It says the vessel can be used like a bundle to carry around several items in one slot. But more importantly, it's your first tool to begin working with metals. By interacting with the vessel, you will open its small inventory where you can place ores. The vessel's tooltip can also tell you what your ores will melt into, which is especially useful when crafting alloys. Placing the vessel in a pit kiln and heating it up allows you to melt the metal inside. If you're feeling adventurous, you can mix different metal types to create alloys. Alloys require specific percentage mixtures of metals. While copper is great immediately, you can make your very first metal tools with bronze instead. Okay, simple enough. We also did the saw mold, and it says, time for your first metal tool. The first mold you should make out of clay is the saw mold. With it and some small amount of metal, you can create a saw. The saw is an important tool as it is required to create lumber, and with it, you'll be able to create your first workbench. It's interesting, so it looks like, yes, the workbench is the crafting table. So it's quite an adventure to actually create that in order to get our 3x3 crafting grid. And I can tell just by looking, further down in this node tree. And I'm just having a thought that there's probably maybe 50 nodes here, and it's just the first chapter, or rather the first section of the first chapter. Not to say there's too many, but now I'm very curious to see what all we have. There's chips, there's computer chips that I'm seeing in early automation. There's the voltaic age with low voltage, medium voltage, and high voltage. And wow, this is really expansive and exciting. There's also space age with extreme voltage, insane voltage, and ludicrous voltage. And then there is interstellar age with 0-point module and ultimate voltage. And I think that pretty much wraps up the chapters. And then there's a few tips and pieces of information, like exotic locations. I guess that's a different chapter. There's the moon and even Mars. So one day, after many hours of sleeping, you might wake up and we'll be in Mars. Just looking at my fire, there's more time this time around than the last time. So I wonder if the heat is more powerful, perhaps due to the clay inside. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. What else do we have? Going back to the Stone Age. I guess we'll complete the saw mold when the kiln is done, and we'll also complete the ceramic jug. Oh, and there's another optional node coming from the kiln. It's all of the different possible molds that you can create. And it's interesting, these, I guess they are, so they're the post-fired version of the molds. There's a number of molds: a javelin head mold, a chisel head mold, there's a brick, a spindle head, and many more. The description reads, "These are all the products you can make out of clay. The molds are used for metalworking. The vessels are used to hold items, and the others have used explained in the field guide. Have uses explained in the field guide. Think you can nap them all." So I'm sure we'll complete that eventually. But looking ahead, we have our metallic saw. And I suppose this is a insight into where we're going. The tasks show a copper or bronze saw, and it says any with some kind of missing tag. And I'm guessing it's, some kind of tong. So it accepts any type of tong, including mittens, burlap pot holder, a wooden tong, and a variety of metal tongs and other pot holders. Description says, to begin making your saw, add at least 144 millibuckets of ore of your desired metal to a vessel. Afterwards, place the vessel in a pit kiln and light it on fire. Once the pit kiln burns out, quickly pick up your vessel while it's still hot, while holding some wooden tongs in your offhand, and interact with it to open the pouring interface. Interesting. Simply place the saw mold in the pouring interface slot and watch it fill with your very first saw head. Afterwards, combine your saw head with a stick and you'll create a saw. While the easiest metal to work with is copper, you can try your hand at the process of alloying. This quest task will accept either an item made out of copper or bronze alloy. And it says bismuth bronze is the weakest of bronzes, but is the easiest to make. Bronze is copper and tin. It's the most average of bronzes. And black bronze is made of copper, gold, and silver. It's the best bronze in the early game, but it's considerably more expensive. Okay. And checking on our fire again, something is very curious about this because I'm almost positive that it said 6 minutes several minutes ago, but the time left is 5 minutes and 41 seconds. So maybe I'll just watch this for a little while, and you can listen to the fire crackle. Hopefully, you're getting very tired. If not, already fast asleep. I'm nearing falling asleep myself. And I think after I discover what's underneath this fire, I'm gonna start working through my thoughts to go to bed as well. Rain is picking up, but the fire seems to be holding out. And there's 57 seconds left. But not to worry. It could go out, or it could keep burning. Maybe the rain will actually help to cool down all of our ceramics once they're complete. Let's take a look. Oops. Interesting. They are indeed very hot. Let me see about... Ah. Looks like you need tongs. I know I saw that somewhere. I wonder if you need to put them in water. It says you can make tongs with a knife and 2 sticks. Interesting. You wear them in the offhand to avoid bad effects. Not sure how long these stay hot for, but I'm now able to pick them up. So we have our pot, our saw blade mold, our vessel, our ceramic jug. I'm a bit hesitant to remove the tongs. I think I'll just wait. And, yeah, I'm just gonna have a review, I guess, of what we've done today and look back and just think. The, the food was confusing at first, and I think it might still be one of the more complicated things to understand in the beginning, but the pumpkins were definitely a lifesaver. They're easy to find, I think. They have been so far, and their yield is significant, at least enough for now. It looks like my nutritional balance is becoming very offset though. So my overall health is at a 6.5, and my average nutrition is at 28%. That's because my fruits and vegetables are doing well, but my dairy's at a 0 and my protein is at a 25. Can't say I think dairy is the most important element in my personal diet, but I suppose it is in the game. The water is more of a hindrance than a real challenge. You just kind of have to go and drink water, and I suppose we can do that now, just to leave things off at a good note. And the napping is a very fascinating mechanic. It seems like you could play this with no instructions at all and spend quite a long time trying to discover the different configurations. But that might be for someone with more time on their hands than me. That being said, the experience of napping different items is relaxing and satisfying, and that's just what we need for a time like this. I have to say, I also love the ambience of this game. The rain and the thunder. The shaders make for a beautiful experience as well. I think there's even a gentle background music that comes on at times. It's not too constant, which is good because I think they know that the ambience is a large part of the experience in TerraFirmaGreg. I'm very curious to see in the coming episodes how this natural world is going to balance with the highly advanced technical world of GregTech. I'm hoping that there's ways to retain this peaceful environment. I noticed that there was details like microplastics, which sound pretty negative. But I suppose it's all part of the fun. And I'm not too worried about this fantasy world. I'm really just here for the ride. But that being said, I think it's time for me to get to bed. I've arrived to my... I'm not even sure if I can call this a home. And I think I'll just listen to the rain and the thunder for a few more moments until I go to sleep. I hope by now you're dreaming in a deep, deep sleep. If you're still awake, maybe try to take your mind off of whatever it is that you're thinking about and just accept that it's not yet time to go to sleep. Tomorrow, you may be tired, but tonight, just allow yourself to let go of the pressure